summon you to life, secret yearnings. You who have been drowned in the dark depths of the creative spirit, you timorous embryos of life, it is to you that I bring daring, and it is found again. What? Eternity. It is the sea, gone without the sun. Okay, here's one. I'm just gonna, actually, no. Okay. Beneath the sky, an unalterable collapse. Memories and rhythms fill house, head, and spirit. As soon as all the numbers crunching it set aside, a horse bolts across the suburban earth, through gardens and lumberyards stabbed by carbonic plague. Somewhere in the world, a histrionic woman sighs after unforeseen abandonment. Desperados pine for a story, injury, and debauch. Along rivers, little cauldron choke down miseries. Men of ordinary make flesh. Was it not once a fruit hanging in the orchard? Oh, days of youth, the body, a treasure to squander. Oh, to love, a pencil or a power of the psyche. Earth had slopes fertile with princes and artists, and your descendants and race drove you to crimes and to meaning. The world, your fortune and your peril. But how? This work done, you, your calculations, and you and your impatience are but dance and voice, neither fixed or forced, whether seasoned for a double event, invention and success, a humanity both brotherly and singular, throughout a universe without a fate, might and right reflecting both dance and voice, a voice we're only beginning to hear. Instructive voices exiled, naive body bitterly sober, adagio. The infinite egotism of adolescence, the studious optimism that summer the world was filled with flowers, dying airs and dying shapes, acquired to soothe impotence and absence, a choir of glasses, of nocturnal melodies. Now nerves begin the hunt. Enough of this temptation of St. Anthony. The struggle against failing zeal, ticks of puerile pride, terror and collapse. But you'll return to the task. Every harmonic and architectural possibility will stir within you. Unbidden, perfect creatures will present themselves for your use. As if a dream, the curiosity of old crowds and idle luxuries will collect around you. Your memory and your senses will be nourishment for your creativity. What will become of the world when you leave? No matter what happens, no trace of now will remain. Thank you. This one I did last time. It's called Horses. The boy was in the hallway, drinking a glass of tea. From the other end of the hallway, a rhythm was generating. Another boy was sliding up the hallway. He merged perfectly with the hallway. He merged perfectly with the mirror in the hallway. The boy looked at Johnny. Johnny wanted to run, but the movie kept playing as planned. The boy took Johnny. He pushed him against the locker. He drove it in. He drove it home. He drove it deep in Johnny. Started crashing his head against the locker and started crashing his head against the locker. Started laughing hysterically when suddenly Johnny gets the feeling he's being surrounded by horses. Horses coming in all directions. He saw horses. And do you know how to pony like Bony Roni? Do you know how to twist? Well, it goes like this. It goes like baby mashed potato, do the alligator, and you twist the twister like your baby sister. I want your baby sister. Give me your baby sister. Dig your baby sister. Rise up on her knees. Got to lose control. And you take the control. And then you roll down on your back and you like it like that, don't you? You like it like that. You like it like that. Then you do the Watusi. Yeah, do the Watusi. Life is filled with holes. Johnny's laying there, his sperm coffin. Angel's looking down at him and says, "Oh, pretty boy, can't you show me nothing but surrender?" And Johnny gets up, takes off his leather jacket, taped to his chest. There's the answer. You've got penknives and jackknives and switchblades preferred. Then he cries, then he screams, saying, "Life is full of pain! I'm cruising through my brain!" And I fill my nose with snow and go Rimbaud, and go, Johnny, go. You can do the Watusi, can't you? You can do it. And there's a little place called space. It's a pretty little place. It's across the tracks, and the name of that place is You Like It Like That. You like it like that, don't you? And the name of the band is The Twisted Lips. Baby, calm down. You better calm down. At night, in the eye of the forest, there's a mirror, black and shining yellow hair. I put my fingers through her circling air and found a stair. I didn't waste time. I just walked right up and saw it up there. There's a sea, and there's a sea of possibility. There's a sea of possibility. There's no land but the land. Up there, there's just a sea of possibilities. There's a sea of possibilities. There's a wall of possibilities, but there is no keeper but the key. Up there are several walls of possibilities, except for one who seizes possibilities. One who seizes possibilities. Up there, I seized the first possibility is the sea around me. I was standing there with my legs spread like a sailor in the sea of possibilities. I felt his hands on my knee, and I looked at Johnny and handed him a branch of cold flame. The waves were coming in like Arabian stallions, gradually lapping into seahorses. He picked up the blade and pressed it against his smooth throat and let it deep in. Dip it in the sea, dip it in the sea of possibilities, dip it in the sea of possibilities, and it started hardening. Deep in the sea of possibilities. It started hardening in my hand, and I felt the arrows of desire. I put my hand inside his cranium. Oh, we had such a brainiac amour, but no more. I gotta move from my mind to the area. Oh, go Rimbo, and Johnny, you can do it. Do the Watusi. Yeah, do the Watusi. And shield up open coiled snakes, wide and shiny, twirling and encircling. Our lives are now entwined. We'll fall. Yes, we will fall together. And we're together twining. Your nerves, your mane of the black shining horse, and my fingers all entwined through the air. I could feel it. It was the air going through my fingers. The hairs were like wires going through my body, and that's how I died at that power of Babel, where they knew what they were after. Everything on the current moved up. I tried to stop it, but it was too warm, too unbelievably smooth, like playing in the sea of possibility. The possibility was like a blade, a shiny blade. I hold the key to the sea of possibilities, but there is no land but the land. I looked at my hands. There's a red stream that went streaming through the sands like fingers, like arteries, like fingers. How much fits between the eyes of a horse? He lay, pressing it against your throat, your eyes. He opened his throat, and his vocal cords started shooting out like a mad pituitary glands. And the scream he made was so high-pitched that nobody heard. No one heard that cry. No one heard Johnny, the butterfly flapping in his throat. Nobody heard. He was on that bed. It was a sea of jelly, and so he seized the first. His vocal cords shot up like a mad pituitary glands. It was a black tube. He felt itself disintegrate, and there was nothing at all, and go inside this black tube. So when he looked into the sea and saw this sweet young thing, a Fender one, humping on the parking meter, leaning on the parking meter, and the streets, there was a man dancing around to the simple rock and roll song. Can I do one more? Yes. Okay. This one, actually, I just really want to read this one. It's not by me, it's by T.S. Eliot. But I just have the urge. Okay? It's called The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock. You probably know it. Let us go then, you and I, when the evening is spread out against the sky, like a patient etherized upon the table. Let us go through certain half-deserted streets, the muttering retreats of restless nights in one-night cheap hotels and sawdust restaurants with oyster shells. Streets that follow like a tedious argument of insidious intent to lead you to an overwhelming question. Oh, do not ask, what is it? Let us go and make our visit. In the room, the women come and go, talking of Michelangelo. The yellow fog that rubbed its back upon the window panes, the yellow smoke that rubs its muscles on the window panes, licked its tongue into the corners of the evening, lingering upon the pools that stand in drains, let fall upon its back the soot that falls from the chimneys, slipped by the terrace, made a sudden leap, and seeing that it was a soft October night, curled once about the house and fell asleep. And indeed, there will be time for the yellow smoke that slides across the streets, rubbing its back against the window panes. There will be time. Yes, there will be time to prepare a face to meet the faces that you meet. There will be a time to murder and create, and time for all the works and days of hands that lived and drop a question on your plate. Time for you and a time for me, and time yet for 100 indecisions, and for 100 visions and revisions before the taking of a toast and tea. and in the room the women come and go, talking to Michelangelo. And indeed, there will be a time to wonder, do I dare, and do I dare? Time to turn back and descend the stair with a bald spot in the middle of my hair. And they will say, how his hair is growing thin. My morning coat, my collar mounting firmly to the chin. My necktie rich and modest, but asserted by a simple pin. And they will say, but how his arms and legs are thin. And do I dare disturb the universe? In a minute there is time for decisions and revisions, where the minute will reverse. For I have known them all already, known them all, have known the evenings, mornings, and afternoons, and I have measured out my life with coffee spoons. I know the voices dying with a dying fall beneath the music from a farther room, so how should I presume? And have I known the eyes already, known them all, the eyes that fix you in a formulated phrase? And when I am formulated, sprawling on a pin, when I am pinned and wriggling on the wall, then how should I begin to spit out all the buttons of my days and ways? And should I presume? And I have known the arms already, known them all, arms that are braceleted and whited and bare, but in the lamplight, down with the light brown hair, is it the perfume from a dress that makes me so digress? Arms that lie across the table or rap against the shawl. And should I then presume, and how should I begin? Shall I say, I've gone at dusk through narrow streets and watched the smoke that rises from the pipes of lonely men in shirt sleeves leaning out the window? I should have been a pair of ragged claws scuttling across the floors of silent seas. In the afternoon, the evening sleeps so peacefully, smoothed by long fingers, asleep, tired, where it lingers, stretched on the floor here beside you and me. Should I, after tea and cakes and ices, have the strength to force the moment to its crisis? But though I have wept and fast, wept and prayed, though I have seen my head brought in upon a platter, I am no prophet, and here's no great matter. I have seen the moment of my greatness flicker, and I have seen the eternal footman hold my coat and snicker, and in short, I was afraid. And would it have been worth it after all, after the cups, the marmalade, the tea, among the porcelain, among some talk of you and me? Would it have been worth a while to have bitten off the matter with a smile, to have squeezed the universe into a ball, to roll it against some overwhelming question, to say, I am Lazarus, come from the dead! Come back to tell you all, I shall tell you all. If one, settling a pillow against her head, should say, no, that's not what I meant at all. No, that is not it at all. And would it have been worth it while, after all, would it have been worthwhile after the sunsets, and the dooryards, and the sprinkled streets, and the novels, after the teacups, after the skirts that trail along the floor, and this, and so much more? It is impossible to say just what I mean, but as if a magic lantern threw the nerves in pattern on a string, would it have been worthwhile if one, settling a pillow, or throwing off a shawl, and turning toward the window should say, that is not at all. That is not what I meant at all. But no, I'm not Prince Hamlet, nor was meant to be. I am an attendant lord, one that will do to swell a progress, to start a scene or two, advise a prince, no doubt an easy tool, deferential, glad to be of use, politic, cautious and meticulous, full of high sentence, but a bit obtuse, at times indeed almost ridiculous, almost at times the fool. I grow old, and I shall wear the bottoms of my trousers rolled. Shall I part my hair behind? Dare I eat a peach? Shall I wear white flannel trousers and walk upon the beach? I have heard the mermaids singing each to each, and I do not think that they will sing for me. I have seen them riding seaward on the waves, combing the white hair of the waves blown back, when the wind blows the water white and black. We have lingered in the chambers of the seas, by seagulls wreathed with seaweed red and brown, till human voices wake us and we drown. Thank you very much.